Welcome to Nova Scotia. Rugged coastlines, charming maritime seaside villages, legendary seafood, and full of Canadian history, Nova Scotia is an often overlooked part of Canada that I think doesn't get the attention it deserves. So, for our first trip to the Maritimes, we chose to visit this province, and after 10 days there, I think Nova Scotia might be the most beautiful place to visit in Canada. In this travel guide, we'll explore all the highlights, our favorite places, and things to see and do in Nova Scotia. We start with Cape Breton Island, famous for its unparalleled rugged beauty, breathtaking vistas, and Celtic charm. This part of the province is an outdoor lover's dream come true. You've got warm sandy beaches, this is Inverness Beach, hiking, waterfalls, this is Egypt Falls, and epic views everywhere you turn. One of the primary attractions of Cape Breton is the world-famous Cabot Trail. This scenic highway winds its way along the island's stunning coastline and through the lush Cape Breton Highlands. It offers panoramic views of the sparkling Atlantic Ocean, dramatic cliffs, and picturesque fishing villages. Now, being from Alberta, I frequently drive one of the world's most beautiful highways, the Icefields Parkway from Banff to Jasper, and I thought nothing could even come close to topping its beauty. Well, I was definitely wrong. The Cabot Trail might possibly be the most beautiful drive in North America. Along this beautiful route, there are many hiking trails, but the most famous is the Skyline Trail. And you can see why here. Perched atop the Cape Breton Highlands, this trail leads you to panoramic views of the windy roads and the Atlantic Ocean as you stand on the edge of these rugged cliffs. It was truly breathtaking and left me speechless. Cape Breton is also more than just epic scenery. It's celebrated for its vibrant Celtic and Acadian traditions and Scottish Highland culture with its lively music traditions, historic sites, and of course, warm hospitality. Next, we visit iconic Peggy's Cove, a staple of Nova Scotia, and one of the most photographed places in Canada. It's known for its picturesque lighthouse perched on the rugged granite coastline. Alongside the camera-friendly lighthouse, it's a dreamy fusion of a classic East Coast fishing village and a postcard-perfect destination. And it really just retains that old-world maritime charm. For example, I just loved the charming street names like Lobster Lane. Even though it's popular and therefore quite busy, with the breathtaking seascapes and a rich maritime heritage, Peggy's Cove is an absolute must-visit destination, especially if you're a first-time visitor. Lunenburg was first settled in 1753, and the entire town is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And it's actually the best surviving example of a planned British colonial settlement in North America. As we explored the historic streets, we felt like we were transported back in time. Strolling through town, you'll see all the colorful waterfront houses, with many dating back to the 18th century. The architecture of the heritage homes here is like nowhere else in Canada. Since the original residents here in Lunenburg were shipbuilders, they used their skills and craftsmanship to build houses in a similar way. Later, Lunenburg became famous for its quality schooners built here, including the famous Bluenose, a symbol of Canadian maritime heritage. The harbor is now home to the Bluenose 2 schooner, a replica of the original racing schooner that was undefeated in her 18-year racing career. And it's now featured on the Canadian Dime. If you have the opportunity to see the ship in person or do a harbor tour, I highly recommend it. Annapolis Valley is the land of orchards, vineyards, and tides. The picturesque town of Wolfville is only 1 hour from Halifax, and it's the perfect hub to explore the region's wineries and cideries. In fact, there's actually 8 wineries located within 10 kilometers of downtown Wolfville. The pride of Nova Scotia's wine country is Tidal Bay wine, which is a unique style of wine that can only be produced in this region of the world. Influenced by the region's cool maritime climate and tidal waters, these white blends are crisp, refreshing, and fruit-forward, with lots of notes of citrus and green apple. Some of the most common grape varieties used in these blends are the local Lacadie, Ortega, and Chardonnay, making them the perfect match for seafood. And for the red wine lovers, don't worry, there's lots of those too. And speaking of tides, this area of Nova Scotia hugs the Bay of Fundy. You can visit the site of the highest recorded tides in the world. We did this at Burncoat Head Park. When it's low tide, you can walk on the ocean floor where you would otherwise be under over 50 feet of water during high tide. When you see these massive rugged cliffs in person, it's really easy to understand why the Bay of Fundy coastline was named one of the top 7 natural wonders of North America. But this region is more than just wine and incredible landscapes. It's a haven for history lovers, and now home to 8 National Historic Sites and 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Some of the can't-miss attractions are Annapolis Royal, one of the most fought-over pieces of land in North America since the 17th century, and the Grand Pré National Historic Site, a site that tells the story of the Acadian people. Finally, we end in Halifax, the capital of Nova Scotia, and one of Canada's most vibrant and unique cities. It's known for its lively culture, rich history, jaw-dropping coastal beauty, and of course, high-quality, fresh seafood. As a historic port city, the waterfront boardwalk is bustling. It's 4 kilometers long and lined with boutique shops, beer gardens, patios, viewing areas, and vendors. And whether you try it here or at any of the great restaurants throughout the city, fresh Atlantic lobster is a must-try. Pubs, live music, and beer go hand in hand with Halifax, which has one of the largest ratios of bars and clubs per capita in Canada. So, a tour of the Alexander Keith's Brewery is a classic Halifax experience. Built in 1820 by Mr. Keith himself, you can get a tour of this historic building where you also get to sample brews in what was once his own private Victorian tavern. And as one of Canada's oldest cities, Halifax is teeming with history everywhere you go. Citadel Hill is a fortress that overlooks the entire city that once protected the whole area from attack by both land and sea. If you can, you should time your visit to be there for 12 p.m. and listen for the daily cannon fire, known locally as the noon gun. This ritual has signaled the noon hour every single day except Christmas Day since 1857. The city is also tightly connected to the Titanic, which you can visit the fascinating exhibits at the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic to learn all about it, or even pay tribute to some of the Titanic victims, which are buried at the Fairview Lawn Cemetery. Even though we covered a lot in this short video, this is just a taste of what you can expect when visiting Nova Scotia. Stay tuned to my channel for future videos because I have a 4-part series coming out with all the details of our 10-day road trip through Nova Scotia, which covers much more than I could here.